A farm that is completely operated and owned by animals. Can you imagine that? Exactly. So, this is the major plot of the book that we are going to review today. So, welcome to my channel Tales and Oracle. So, in this video, we are going to be reviewing the book titled Animal Farm, written by George Orwell. So, let's get into the video. Animal Farm, written by George Orwell, was published in 1945. This is a most famous work of political allegory that was written. And what is an allegory? An allegory is basically a story that has another hidden meaning beneath the surface level story, which means that when you read the book, you'll feel it as a fiction, but it has something more to say, or it has some hidden message, or it kind of compares another scenario and talks. And this book is also a form of allegory. It's a political satire, and this book was basically based on the Russian Revolution, which happened in 1917. And according to Orwell, the book reflects events that led to the Russian Revolution of 1917. And when I picked up this book, I wasn't really aware about the book and the theme. Actually, I picked up this book as just a recommendation from the fellow booktubers that were there, and I thought this to be a children's normal fiction book. Even though this book starts in the mode of normal children fable tale, but it has something more to convey. As when you read the book, you'll understand that. And talking about the story is about the animals living in a manor farm. They are constantly mistreated by their human owner, Mr. Jones, and these animals, they barely get enough to eat, and they are constantly overworked. Now these animals, they get very tired of the situation, and one day a boar basically in simple terms is a pig, actually an old pig. He is named Old Major. He shares his dream with the rest of the farm. Actually, he had a dream about something and he wants to share with the rest of the farm. So he arranges a meeting. And he speaks about his dream. The dream that he had was a farm that was run entirely by animals, where humans cannot mistreat them anymore. And when the other animals, the fellow animals, heard his speech, the animals were very much motivated, because they were also struggling and they were also working really hard, but they were not being fed much, and they set out to stage a revolution to get the humans out of the farm. And shortly then, one day, Mr. Jones, he forgets to feed the animals, and the animals, they couldn't bear the hunger anymore. And now, once the hunger was unbearable, they just start out a protest, and they flee. Jones and his men, they were chased out of the farm. And now Manor Farm, it was renamed as Animal Farm. And now the animals, they started to rule the farm as if it was their own. And Manor Farm was renamed Animal Farm, and also 7 commandments were written on the wall. 7 commandments of animalism, they were painted on the barn wall. So this shows that the animals, they started the protest for a noble cause. Like, they felt as if they were working really hard, but the fruits of their hard work were reaped and used by the humans, and they treated them very bad. And these animals, they considered humans as evil. And when I talk about animals in the farm, don't confuse that there are only pigs in the farm. It's not that way. There are so many other characters. There are few pigs, by the way, named Squealer, Napoleon, Snowball. These are all the names of the pigs that are there. And Old Major, actually he dies in few days. And then there is there are 2 horses, Clover and Boxer. And then there is another donkey, which is named Benjamin. So there are so many other characters as well throughout the story. Now, even though Animal Farm is set in a farmyard where the animals decide to seize the farmer's land and create a cooperative that reaps the benefits of their combined labor, but however, it turns out into something else. Some animals, especially few dogs and pigs, they seem to claim a much more or much bigger share of rewards than the other fellow animals. Now, little by little, the rules that they kept for themselves, the commandments that they had, it started to change slowly. The slow ironic twist was happening throughout the story. Like the pigs, they seem to gain power little by little, and this made the animals question whether they were actually tasting freedom and liberty that they once thought. But they never questioned, because Squealer was another fellow pig and he was a very dear friend of Napoleon, which eventually becomes the villain in the story. I'm not revealing the story completely. So the Squealer, he's a very cunning, he is a very manipulative person. He can really manipulate anyone and any situation to the favor of that particular pig. And the slow ironic twist from the original purpose of the 7 commandments, which were supposed to keep order within the animal farm by uniting the animals together against the humans and preventing animals from the following humans' evil habits, it demonstrates how simply the political dogma can be turned into twisted propaganda. And this book, Animal Farm by George Orwell, actually captures the themes of oppression, rebellion, and history repeating itself. So even though it begins like a children's tale, but it's way more than that. As I said earlier, they had 7 commandments, and few, like I would like to quote 1 or 2 among them. Like initially it was 4 legs good and 2 legs bad, which means that anything that goes on 4 legs, which means or which impersonates animals, they are good to us, and anything that goes by 2 legs, essentially humans, are evil and bad. That was their early propaganda. But now, as things changed, as the pigs and their attitude changed, it got edited to 4 legs good, 2 legs better. Now you can understand what might have happened. And there was this another commandment that all animals are equal. This was the thing, but later it got changed as all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Now this is a very famous line from this particular book that is very famous. And this Animal Farm, it is easily the most famous work of political allegory, and it is actually a political allegory satirizing the Russian Revolution. And in short, when you look at it, the manor farm is actually a model of Russia, and the characters like Old Major, Snowball, Napoleon, they all represent dominant figures of the Russian Revolution. Now the animals taking over the farm and looking after it, and their leadership and everything goes good for, initially it goes good for a while, but it all goes good only until the pigs get out of hand, their control goes out of hand. So it's a brilliant description of what happens when revolution goes astray, or when power takes over, or when money takes over, or when greed takes over political situations. And this kind of allegory, it is hard to do gracefully, but the author, he has done very well, and it is a very moving, bitter, and warning from history. It is a book that everyone should actually read. And this book, the key takeaways that you can have from this book is that it teaches you how propaganda can convince a country to stray away from the values that they once strongly believed in, and it teaches you to watch out and beware, and it teaches you to question and avoid blind devotion. You cannot follow anybody blindly. Actually, that happens with one of the character called Boxer. He follows whatever Napoleon orders, and finally he gets slaughtered. That is a very sad event that happens in this book. So it teaches you that you shouldn't always believe, or you shouldn't always follow anybody blindly. You must always question whether whatever the person is telling is actually right or not. And it teaches you that divided people are powerless. As we all know, unity is strength, and divided people are usually powerless. And this novel, which was published in 1945, is still relevant. It is still very, very relevant to today. And how do I tell that? Because Even today, we have class inequalities, communal politics, discrimination. We all are aware about a big issue that is going on right now, and so we can understand that all this political satire that was written way back is still relevant, actually very relevant now. And true appreciation of this particular book doesn't require much of political understanding of the history of Russia Revolution. Actually, I am also not very aware about that. When I picked up this book, I had no idea what was that. And after finishing the book only, I did a little bit research. Even though I don't have a very good understanding, I can tell you that even though you are not very much good at that history part, still you can enjoy this book. You must read this book because it gives you an overview of how manipulative people can be and how that can affect you as a person. So you have to be aware about that always, and this book is worth reading. Giving a rating is very bad for this book because I am not a person who can rate such a masterpiece. It is a 5 on 5 truly. And actually, when I surfed to the internet, I found an animated movie as well about the same book. I think that movie is good, but the book is very very good compared to the movie. The movie has a bit less than what the book has to convey to you. Anyways, if you are about to read this book, go ahead. I am 100% recommending this book to anybody who has planned to read this. Anyways, I'll link the book in the description. Thank you for watching this video. Keep supporting, keep subscribing. Do subscribe if you like this video, and so that can be an appreciation for me and all the efforts that goes into the video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.